My name's David Keith.
What years were you in Vietnam?
I was not actually in Vietnam.
Okay.
I joined the service in October '74 at the very tail end of it. I was actually in A school when they were bringing everybody home.
Where did you go for boot camp?
Orlando, Florida.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What was your experience in boot camp like?
A lot of really long days. For example, the very first day, they put me on a bus downtown Cincinnati at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we got into Orlando about 11 o'clock that night. And by the time we got all our stuff turned in, because you have to turn in all your civilian gear, and got our military gear issued, we got in bed about 1 o'clock. About 4:30 the next morning, this guy came down through the middle of the bay with a billy club rattling on the inside of a galvanized trash can to wake us up. That was the biggest part of the days. Were getting up early, doing calisthenics, going to classes, and everywhere you went, you had to run.
What were some of your job assignments?
I was trained as an electrician's mate and in nuclear power plant operation.
What was it like on the ship?
First experience was very interesting. You know, being young, never being there before. Heck, I'd never seen the ocean before. So, first experience was very intriguing. After a while, it gets really boring because there's not much to do. I did enjoy a lot visiting the other countries, though.
Where all did you go?
In the States, like I said, I started out in Orlando. I went to Great Lakes for A school, which is up above Chicago. From there, I went to San Diego for a while, and then up to San Francisco for nuclear power school. Idaho Falls for nuclear power training. They have the first nuclear-powered reactors were in the desert outside of Idaho Falls. And they used them, after they used them for testing, they used them for us to train on. Norfolk, Virginia, made one Mediterranean cruise, made one East Coast cruise from New York down to Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah. What did you fear the most?
I've been thinking about that, trying to figure out some way to relate it to you all. When I was growing up, it was all about the Russian bad guys, and everybody had nuclear capability, dropping the bomb kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my job, being on the submarines, was just that. We were taught. We dealt with a lot of classified information, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. But the underlying fear that I had was that my job, if we were called upon to do what we were there for, was to send off the nuclear missile. My fear was having to do it, because once we shot them off, you kind of figure there's not going to be much left to come home to.
Yeah.
A classroom. It was kind of like drinking out of a fire hose, because there's a lot of information that they want you to learn really fast, because you don't have much time. Just learning how to be a sailor, learning what the ranks mean. It's all foreign kind of stuff to you, but you got to learn it so that you can fit in. And you have to pass the tests. If you don't pass the test, they do what they call setback.
What's that?
You can, it's kind of like being held back a grade, but we're talking about weeks. I was there for 10 weeks, and if you get set back, add another week.
Wow.
Add another week. Fail a class, add another week.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to be in boot camp. Good example, and I honestly give these guys a lot of credit. They had what they called a rock company. And these guys were coming in, the first thing they do is take you down to the pool and put you in and see if you could swim. Being in the Navy, that's an important aspect of life. But these fellas, they were rocks. They'd jump in the pool and they'd go to the bottom and they'd bob back up. But they had to stay there until they could swim. And the Navy taught them how to swim, and they didn't put them out. If they kept trying, they would keep them. And some of those guys had been there for 3 months just learning how to swim. Their training didn't even start until they got done learning how to swim.
That's rough. How long were you in the service?
I was in the Navy for 6 years, with 2 years reserve work after that. Then I was in the Army Reserve for 6 more years. The thing that I took care of was Camp Atterbury. At that time it was a defunct National Guard post over in Indiana, Columbus, Indiana. And as it turned out, that's where, when they deployed everybody overseas to Iran and Afghanistan, that kind of thing, they actually federalized that post and activated it again. And that's where everybody from this area went to get fitted out and then shipped overseas. These are the miniatures of the actual ribbons. This is the Army Achievement Medal. I got that at Fort Bragg. So I got that one for Fort Bragg. And then this is Army Commendation Medal. It's a little higher, a little harder to get. I actually got 2 of those for basically doing the same thing, doing my job and doing it well. My grandfathers and fathers fought in wars, and they all said it. They fought so that their children wouldn't have to. And I volunteered so that somebody else wouldn't have to go. With the same thought process, that I went so that my children wouldn't have to. And pretty much you guys are my children's age, or of that generation. And yet here we are, and you guys are going. It means a lot that you guys are willing to do that, but at the same time, it's kind of sad that it's still happening.